last opportunity you get to draft team opposition up against Fnatic. And Syndra, of course, remaining unbanned because they took away the Aphelios means that they now have the luxury of that flex pick, and we've seen Carzzy show us how good he can be on that champion. So it is a bona fide flex pick, unlike for many other teams in the league.
Now, Syndra was banned by Fnatic in game number 1, but completely fell through the draft in game number 2. So I suspected that it just wasn't high priority because it wasn't as confident a flex pick for a team like Mad Lions. So you already called it. This could theoretically fall into anyone's hands. I'd be happy to see it go to Humanoid. Again, I wanted him to have a bit more teeth, and Syndra's certainly a champion that can do that. So we'll see what Nemesis has to answer. Usually in this type of situation, if you think it's going to be a Syndra mid, you're going to grab one of your tanks, something like an Ornn, although it is banned. Perhaps a Nautilus would work really well here because you deny her the kill damage. You could go for the Echo if you want to try to the aggressive outplay, and they already have the Thresh to decide if it's going to be, you know, the bot lane Syndra. She can hit you with the scatter the weak, but you can use the death sentence to reposition yourself, offer yourself some safety down there.
And also deny it from her, which I think is equally as important, because similar to Aphelios, Syndra really loves having that additional safety. She has a small amount of self-peel in that scatter the weak, but if anyone gets around it, she pretty much instantly dies. So taking that support away is an excellent option, and we see Mad Lions keeping some of the things that made their composition work so well in the previous game. We have the Olaf, we have good gank set up with a Syndra and a Renekton now locked in, so I like the adaptation we're seeing so far.
It also feels like now it's going to be the bot lane Syndra, although theoretically is still a flex pick. We've seen Humanoid the Renekton in the mid lane, and that seems to be where he's going. But right now, Mad haven't revealed a ton outside of what you just pointed out, Drakos, which is that they have good gank setup for Shadow, who goes back to the Olaf into the Gragas matchup.
And now we see Bwipo's Malphite once again. And obviously there's not the single source of physical damage like there was last time around, but the Renekton matchup should be okay. We saw that early on Malphite might suffer, but he does get, when he gets going, it's nigh impossible to stop him. So see what Mad Lions want to do to offer a bit more here. They could send to the Syndra bottom. They would need some more magic damage to mitigate their chances of just getting, well, thorn mailed like last game.
I think it'll be really telling if they decide to ban the Yasuo on who's going mid lane versus if they leave it open, because it would be the exact same composition that they just ran into previously, minus the Thresh for the Blitzcrank. If they leave it open, it would tell me that...
Interesting.
I'll let it go. It would tell me who's going to be the mid lane champion.
We'll hold on to it for now. They've taken Leona away, so don't want to give away the potential Syndra-Leona kill lane combo. Also another champion with excellent setup for Olaf, so limiting some of those more aggressive support options. Would not be surprised to see Rekkles taken away here as well. It's been banned, I think, every second phase across the first 2 games of this series. So it will be the Rekkles in the end.
Still have access to Tahm Kench if you still wanted to play it quite safe next to the Syndra. Other not bland. I like Cassio. I was going to say blind pickable. Slip of the tongue, saw a 0. Was like, bland champion. Blind pickable champions.
Blind. Yeah. All right.
Same difference.
See what Fnatic does with their blind pick here, though. Yeah, Misfortune worked out well. Once again, this is my favorite pairing for Misfortune. Offers more safety. Both these champions roam incredibly effectively, and it's something that we've seen Fnatic have success on in the past. So getting their own hands on the power of the MF Thresh. I wonder if we see Kaiser try his hand at the quote-unquote Blitzcrank counter pick here.
But so far, Mad now have to reveal their hand. Another flex champion. Never mind. We still don't know where anything's going for absolute certain. Using 2 bans onto the mid lane, I feel like they are really trying to sculpt a really strong 2v2 mid jungle with a lot of kill threat. With any of these champions in combination, they can get that.
And to be fair, Bwipo with full armor, really good at kill. Oh, wow. I love this. Okay. All right, fine. I thought for a brief second, I was on the wrong feed, Froskurinn, so I was 2 seconds behind you. So I was wondering how you were so prophetic in your wisdom. But no, you're right. That is the Kaiser special. That is the Nautilus. And now we have, once again, a ton of engage on the side of Mad Lions, but a little bit more of a split damage profile.
I do like the fact that Nautilus and Pyke can kind of serve a similar instance here, although I think that Pyke does it slightly better, but Nautilus a little bit more consistent, which is unlocking themselves from that bot lane and sprinting towards the mid lane. And Nemesis is like, guys, I think that there's probably going to be a party in this mid lane, so I'm going to pick for pushing priority and safety here.
The old input buffer Tristana rocket jump. For Tristana players, totally balanced. For everyone else, ludicrously OP mechanic. But it will help keep Nemesis alive here. And I actually really like what Matter drafting. Once again, I like having a Sylas against a Malphite. Sylas stolen Malphite ult is just strictly better than full armor Malphite ult. Maybe we see some adaptation from Bwipo in the build. He's tried a lot of runes out in solo queue, but need to find out exactly what Bwipo wants to do here.
And I feel like with no Azir band, it kind of gave away the hand that it was probably going to be the Renekton into the mid lane, which is what Humanoid's going to stick with. Now, Tristana does get a lot more safety there, range versus melee matchup, as long as she's respectful of the slice and dice. So it might be a little bit harder here, but that's still a very powerful skirmishing 2v2 between this Olaf and Renekton. And that's a lot of very powerful champions on Mad. They no longer have just like a single to 2 damage threat composition. Every single person there has kill pressure, so it's on, do or die, game 3.
Everything you probably want here for both of these lineups. Need to see who will come out on top. Can Mad Lions come back? We're gonna have to find out. Match point for Fnatic. Humanoid with the Renekton mid lane. It can go side lane. It can get stuff done. Can it do it against a Tristana? That is a very different question.
I feel like Nemesis is probably just going to neutralize the lane, turn it into free farm. If his jungler gets information or he knows that he can be safe and push up, really try to punish range versus melee mismatch. That said, because Kaiser has something like a Nautilus, because you have Shadow on Olaf, and because you are a Renekton, I would expect that there would be a lot of attention towards this this mid lane, so Nemesis has to be on best behavior to make sure that he doesn't get broken.
See if we get the same jungle start that we saw last game. Froskurinn, of course, you were commenting on no information for either side on where the jungler started. Offered a lot of flexibility in terms of pathing, a lot of unpredictability.
Shadow did this path in the same, or in game 2. No, he didn't do it. So he was starting his back, and I thought he was going to recall, reset, and grab the Oracle Olins, and it might be a tell that he was going to look for an early gank after top full clear into mid lane, check the brush to see if Nemesis had warded, but he actually decided to cancel his back, and instead is going to do this with the Trinket.
And obviously, Olaf, incredible clip speed, just going to double clear the camp here as we see a slightly slower clear from Selfmade on the opposite side of the map. Hugely important for Shadow once again to hit the ground running in this game, find some early action, get ahead of the opposition, because we've seen what Selfmade can do once he gets out of that early game, once he gets a few items under his belt. But I want to talk a little bit about bottom lane, rather, Froskurinn, because I'm as good as Rekkles and Hylissang have been over the course of the series. The lane that they're playing against is ludicrously oppressive.
Yeah, multiple forms of CC. It's super easy to chain it together. As soon as either the dredge line or the Scout of the Week hits, you're pretty much guaranteeing that the other one's going to land after it. One of the nice things about Syndra bot lane is her pushing power, having that Q level 1. There's not a lot of matchups that can out-push her, so you can see it's a very free bounce for Carzzy and Kaiser here. Their minion wave taps Hylissang and Rekkles, so it will reset, which then allows them to gain information like this, popping into Selfmade jungle, setting down vision, and trying to get information about where this Gragas might be pathing. And we called it. There's probably going to be a party into mid lane, and even if it doesn't equate into actually killing ganks, as Orome.
Getting a little frisky here, the flash away, press the attack, and it's just okay for Bwipo. I cannot believe he came out on top. Conqueror, not enough to carry that exchange for Orome.
And I was just about to set up, even though Mad Lions might not get the gank off or the kill into the mid lane, the pressure there still denies something from Nemesis, so they are technically trading back. Orome then falls down in the top side, which is just disastrous using that flash, because now there's a huge target on his back, and the minion wave is, I can't spot it, but from what I can see on the minimap, pretty horrific. And yeah, it's frozen.
Orome just tried to get aggressive here. You can see Ruby Crystal as well as the longsword. Okay, and the thing is normally, the Phage is what I'm worried about here, Froskurinn, because once Bwipo gets that, if he's already winning the lane, it's going to be nigh impossible for Sylas to get away. And now Humanoid, it feels like he's trying to bail his top laner out as he runs straight up to the top side of the map.
Yeah, they have to cover him to make sure that this wave can get bounced back, because you can see the next minion wave has stacked back in. Orome is still in one hell of a position. They now have eyes that Selfmade's out there, and as you called it, Humanoid is basically just trying to buy time for the Sylas to get his wave state in a better position.
Orome still trying, but no one else is here now, and Selfmade is on the top side of the map. This is the worst possible outcome in the early game for Mad. The flash body slam forward, the TP now coming topside, but Orome is already dead. Bwipo now is just going to back away. Knows he can't afford to take this fight. Selfmade maybe not able to win the 1v1 here at this stage of the game, but can try to get something. Mad potentially going to turn this one around. Shadow now on the hunt, but all of Fnatic is here. They're going to save Bwipo, and this is turning against Mad instantly. This is the worst possible start. 3 kills for Fnatic, 1k gold lead. It's only 4 minutes into the game.
And something that Fnatic do really wonderfully on Misfortune is they maximize use of her passive and the movement speed that it gets, not just in getting early back timers and quickly running back to lane with double Dorans in this case, but they did this last game as well. They will constantly peek mid lane, roaming around with Hilly and Rekkles, and this time around walking all the way to top side to get involved in the back half of that.
And one of the other things that Fnatic do well in this case, I think that we've talked about a lot, is how they adjust their lane assignments so fluidly. Nemesis goes to the bot lane, he picks up all that CS. He's now 20 ahead of Humanoid, who went top, who gave his life, who tried to make this play happen, is now just putting himself further behind in the mid lane matchup. And 1k gold lead doesn't seem like a lot, but when you look at Bwipo's items and you know that all that Sylas healing is just going to be non-existent now, it starts to feel a little impossible.
And when you look at the way that Fnatic can play out fights and how this competition really can run away once they get a lead, especially with like a Tristana. So I'm in agreement with you there. It's very punishing. I do feel that there's a bit more of a clock on Mad Lions to be proactive in kind of the early stages of this game if they want to have relevance into earlier fights. Still not down and out because their champions do very well on kind of first completed, second completed item windows. So they need to stop the bleeding, get to these breakpoints, and that is not the way to do it.
Oh, level 5 coming through on the Olaf, now level 6, but the body slam comes over the wall. This is a Fnatic unleashed. 6 minutes in, 4 kills, pulling further and further ahead in gold, and that play initially looks a little sloppy, but the execution there is just fantastic.
Kaiser's dead.
Yeah, Rekkles, he's going to buy time, he's going to buy space, make sure his AD carry can get away, and he's going to flash over the wall, but Selfmade's just going to chase. And Humanoid is walking back top lane, so this is just a stalling tactic. Kaiser maybe can die to the tower here?
I think they might let him go. Gave him the hat, the wave goodbye, saving Private Kaiser. I think he's going to get the execute. I think it's been long enough.
Wow. Wow. What a different game. Game 1 kind of more slow and controlled in the early game. Fnatic slowly pulling ahead. Game 2, Mad Lions owning the early game. And now in Game 3, it's absolute Fnatic dominance here early on.
And a lot of it has to do with where they're getting priority and rotating. Orome stealing the ultimate, trading heavy damage and trying to set up this dive on Bwipo as Humanoid and Shadow are here.
Bwipo is desperately trying to get level 6 there because he's very close, but it will not work out. Mad finally getting a kill back.
But see how it doesn't translate into anything else. They get the dive, but it doesn't turn into plates. And meanwhile, you have multiple funnels of gold of CS being into the mid lane as Nemesis is getting to free farm. As long as this engagement doesn't land on him, he's going to walk away. And then multiple plates going to Hylissang and Rekkles in the bot lane. So yeah, they got the kill on Malphite topside, but in terms of actual gold value traded back, it's still Fnatic that are feeling very healthy and very much in the lead.
Yeah, they went from a 1k gold lead to now 2k off the back of Mad Lions finding a kill. So now it's Froskurinn. They're getting the Mountain Drake. The map's resetting. It's only triple Dorans for Rekkles so far. The good news for Mad is no major items have come through, but what do you do if you're Mad in this situation?
I mean, you try to create unfair skirmishes. Again, still using this Renekton. It's about picking the right target on the map. Maybe that's trying to team up with your Nautilus and maybe attack the bot lane, since I guess you can still have kill pressure on Bwipo right now because his itemization went to Executioner's Calling to try to deal with Sylas's healing as opposed to some fear resistances, but it looks like it's going to try to be mid lane. Just think it's hard to really gank this Tristana, especially when Thresh is standing behind her. So yeah, for me it's about Mad finding the right target selection for unfair fights and skirmishes, whereas Fnatic can pretty much choose where they want to fight Mad.
Powerful thing to have, and Mad are going to be the team to start off the Rift Trail here. We've talked about how this can be a disadvantage if you are spotted out doing it. Only level 4 for Hylissang. He has to be a little bit careful here. He can't just get bursted down, but Selfmade's still in the area, has popped the Predator. Bwipo waiting over the wall to get things
Rekkles.
kicked off. Now he's going to get the two-man ult coming in. Nemesis on the backside, getting things kicked off. Carzzy throwing down a lot of burst damage, and he's just going to delete Bwipo out of the fight. But Shadow has lost his ultimate, and now Nemesis is looking for the reset. He's going to find one there. He can now bounce into the back line. Orome has the ultimate to try to reset the fight. Nemesis now stepping back for a brief second. The exhaust goes down, and that's going to do it. Rekkles finding another kill. Orome going to trade one back, and he's now trying to run, but it's too little, it's too late. The bomb goes off, and Nemesis now on a killing spree.
And this is now a huge Tristana and a huge problem for Mad Lions. This is a composition that they're running that, again, does really well on kind of 1-2 items, but you've now just kind of springboarded Fnatic composition, which, in my opinion, can outscale and can have ease of execution on team fights to match them and now surpass them. So that was a pretty massive blunder that they're really going to pay the price for.
3K deficit, and the Herald hasn't even been popped yet. And you look back at this one, and Bwipo just waiting for that perfect ult setup. Mad just funneling in here and getting wrecked.
What I think is really cool here is the patience of Nemesis on when he looks for the leap. He waits until Rekkles is in position. He knows that Syndra can't just turn around and blow him up and burst him, and then he leaps forward. And it seems small, but in a lesser team, your Tristana might have, you know, as soon as possible leapt forward and done a bit of vein spotting and then just got turned around and blown up. But it's kind of these small details of why our top teams are our top teams in the LEC.
And I completely agree, Froskurinn. You also look at the little backstep he makes up against Sylas, because he respects that Orome has stolen his ultimate, that he can 100-0 him if he connects the change. So he backsteps, hits the exhaust, and then fully commits before they round out the fight. And because of play like this, he's now 3-0-3. He has the Blade of the Rune King completed. Selfmade has completed his first item as well, and Orome, he's stolen an MF ult, but at this point I think it's just going to be wave clear before he really gets to do anything with it.
Yeah, and like you said, it's the defensive misfortune ultimate that comes out. It does mean that the second tower just takes a big chunk out of it. Now, meanwhile, Mad Lions did get some work done cross-map. They actually zoned Nemesis off of the tower with a numbers advantage. Got, I think, some gold into Humanoid's back pocket, but still not feeling great with... he's got his first completed items, laced up his Nikes, he's got his Ninja Tabi, and that's about it.
To start, there is an MF and a Tristana, so you are getting extra value out of it. But the awkward thing about the Black Cleaver, Froskurinn, is that, like, you're going to do pretty solid there, but it's not like anyone on the enemy team is building armor outside of Bwipo, so you're not going to get the same value as you might in other matchups.
It's just like, it's bad news bears. The one nice thing is that it's theoretically easier to itemize because you have so many, I was going to say you have so many of like the same damage threats, but actually Selfmade usually plays AP heavy Gragas.
Bwipo now trying to sidestep into the tower. Might be able to trade back with Humanoid as he dashes away. One more tower shot. Not going to be enough. Orome will make out. So Mad do get something, but Fnatic immediately responding in the mid lane. Cass being thrown back. The body slam to fall out before the scatter of the week can come out. Well played by Selfmade, but now Shadow looking to rock and roll his way through the rest of his team fight. He's unstoppable, but he doesn't have the health bar to survive Fnatic in that exchange.
Here comes the TP, and look at Nautilus. Kaiser's also on the flank. They have to cut down. I think they're okay.
In the meantime, Nemesis is still just hitting a tower in the midst of all this. Of course, Orome is trading on the top side, but Fnatic holding on to their lead. Now 5K ahead of Mad Lions, and they're looking to make it 6, as Kaiser's just another name to be taken down. More auto attack forward, and Rekkles 4-0-3. 12 minutes into the game. Once again, this is happening so fast.
And Kaiser knew better too, and now here goes Humanoid.
Next Blade of the Rune King proc is going to flash out to safety. They are just going to back off. They don't want to overcommit. They know more members of Mad are coming, but they're going to steal away the red buff too. So Shadow the one paying the price for Humanoid stepping forward there.
Almost got everyone over the wall. And in another fell swoop, yeah, Fnatic give up Bwipo in the top lane, but with all of that time, they get the mid tower, or excuse me, not the mid tower, they get the mid dive, they get the teleport, they fall back onto the dragon, they funneled multiple waves into Nemesis as well as Rekkles on the back half of it, so still across the board, they're continuing to balloon the gold lead. And
now
maybe now some alligator shoes.
No rocket jump available for Nemesis, unless he got the reset there. Now he's going to miss. Bwipo on the backside. Can't just look to ult, wants to, has to, but he's just going to get burned down before he gets the opportunity to use it. Thresh still stepping forward. Shadow now running, now chasing. Nemesis throwing down as much damage as he can, but he has to be careful. A good leap out to stop the abduct from connecting, but Mad Lions find a solid skirmish.
Yeah, a bit of an int of a TP. Bwipo doesn't have access to his ultimate. It's still on cooldown. So that is a one-way ticket, and finally a mistake from Fnatic that Mad Lions are able to capitalize on. Difference is that it still only amounts into a single turret plate. So every time Fnatic are finding these advantages, these victories, these fights, these skirmishes, it's always like multiple plates, multiple farms of gold, a dragon. When Mad Lions get it, it's like a kill, and in that time it was a kill and a single plate.
And I like the aggression initially from Nemesis, but then you see the TP come in, you wonder what's going to happen. And I didn't see that Malphite cooldown, Frost, so I thought, oh man, they've thrown it all away. But
you're like, you can trade 1 for 1.
Nope, can't do anything, as it turns out. Well played by Matt to just punish, keeping an eye on that cooldown, keeping track there, and knowing they can just fully commit.
Yeah, and I guess a little bit of a silver lining. It was Hyli that got the pickup kill or the trade versus the Tristana then running around as 4-0-3, still sitting 3-0-4. But otherwise, Mad Lions are a bit in desperation mode. They're at this point in the game where they have to keep the tempo up. They have to continue to look for these skirmishes and continue to pressure. I like the fact that they're doing it against Bwipo, but they're always sacrificing something on the map. Fnatic is making sure that they're either trading farm or pick advantage, or I guess it's kind of vision advantage, creating these pockets of darkness for Hyli to stand in.
And to be fair to Mad, they are getting something out of it. Bwipo's been put very far down. He's at a 2-level deficit. And while we were initially very excited about a Ruby Crystal, a Doran's Ring, and some healing reduction, we're 8 minutes forward, and we've only really seen Boots 2 now coming in and a little bit more. Rekkles is forced to heal and zoom his way out of that one. So Bwipo has been put in the ground and is going to need some time to recover here, or just accept his role in the team as an alt bot.
I'd love to get another look at what Kaiser just did right there. He had ultimate, and I swore he was in range to use it. Now, Rekkles was pretty fast on the flash there, but I didn't get a good enough look to see why Rekkles didn't die.
Use the heal. Actually, just use the heal to zoom out. So not even as instantaneous as the flash.
They're going to dive him.
Good setup here, but Hylissang's on the way in. There's a Lantern there as well. He's just going to backstep. The ulti's still coming out. Shadow can try to chase, but they will retreat.
He's
very
clean.
Good timing. Yeah, Hylissang, the guardian angel of Rekkles at this point in the game.
Rekkles and Hyli are so clean, because meanwhile, that's so many resources, not just in cooldowns, but in time investment and number investment, and Nemesis is still just being an absolute menace on the side. Thank you, observers. Yeah, he could have ulted it.
I guess wanted to aim for the hook? I'm not sure there. Maybe wasn't too confident and where the rest of his team was. Be an interesting one to ask him about at a later point. And Shadow risking getting hooked here, but we'll now just know that Fnatic have multiple members committed. The ward has spotted them out. If Mad wanted an opportunity to fight, the time is now. I believe Orome can steal Bwipo's ult if Bwipo comes to the fight. The cooldown should be down at this stage of the game.
Yeah, I think Mad Lions are going to go ahead and give this one up. At this point, I think they need to kind of fall back to their pick tools. They're not finding the skirmishes that they need. They need to invest gold to clear out some vision, create pockets of darkness, and then start playing around Nautilus CC or Syndra pick potential. So make sure that they're getting a faster rotation starter, stand the fog of war, and hopefully someone just blind face checks into them.
And that sounds a lot more limited than the options were at the start of the game.
They can still try to punish Bwipo. Like, you can see that they're setting up Humanoid on a side lane, and their little Peter Pan buddies, the Shadow of Kaiser and Shadow. Man. Standing under...
Even Peter Pan's Shadow has a shadow, I guess.
It's a shadow squared. Here we go. This is what we want.
Nemesis just going to get hooked up, just going to get knocked out, but the follow-up there over the wall from Bwipo. Now they're trying to turn the fight despite all odds. Selfmade now needs to retreat. Bwipo trying to run out to safety. Body slam wins it, going to be back up. Hylissang there with the Lantern, and Selfmade hung out to dry here as the hook comes back in. The Scatter of the Week as well, but now Fnatic decided it's time to get the fight started. Bwipo actually has some decent damage, and here comes the Rekkles ult. Won't find a kill yet. So far still positive for Mad, but as Humanoid gets hooked, it might turn against them. Double kill for the Thresh on the bottom side, and Bwipo slowly but surely chasing down the Nautilus.
Is Hyli gonna get it? He's hungry.
And for the LCK fans out there, that's the Dudadunga TFT emote special. Just absolute BM. Gives the kill to Rekkles. Well played.
Yeah, and unfortunately multiple kills. Orome did clean up a lot onto the top side, but it also rotates into the dragon. It looked good initially for Mad. They got the picks that they wanted, but they just overcommitted a bit, and Fnatic still have sizable gold leads and item leads on multiple people, so they're able to fight even from disadvantages quite effectively at this state.
Ooh, but Humanoid still going to try to go for the flank here.
Big flank.
Trying to double dash through to get to Rekkles, but the Cloud Shrine actually going to make
so
sure that
good.
Rekkles out to safety. Plus now flashes as well. And Matter they're just getting danced on. Their ankles are being broken in front of us, Froskurinn. That was
Their ankles
clean
were
movement.
just shattered right now. That hurt so bad. Okay, so Mad Lion fans, you can look at this one at least for the initial part of the clip because this one feels pretty good. You used the frog before, you got a couple of kills, you get some shutdowns. It's like, it's all good. It's at kind of this point that you want to close your eyes because Fnatic now will just chase down. Hilly is having a phenomenal game on his Thresh, famous for it, so it's always nice to see that one. He's set up so many plays. He's been so clean on this Lantern, and the replay that I really want to see is him breaking Mad's ankles with this
the back half
outplay.
of that fight was so good for escapes. It looks like in the
observer's
meantime,
but he got the tower, guys. He got the tower, and I think 4 waves.
and it's only a 4K or it's only a 5K gold deficit. It's not really growing at this stage of the game. Of course, it is 2 dragons to 0 now.
That is something to think about, though, the side lane. You know, with Sylas and Renekton, at least pending the lane matchups, they could try to tear Fnatic apart.
You would assume that they have advantage over the Malphite at least. Hard for me to say on the Tristana point, but we'll find out as we get later in the game. 3 Drakes for Fnatic, excuse me. And now moving on to Cloud Soul at this point of the game. That will be big because you might have noticed, but they're a very ult-reliant team with the Malphite Gragas misfortune. Not that they've technically needed them across a lot of these fights.
That's also the timer that you pointed out, the soul that's coming up here for Fnatic on Mad Lions, that, you know, pending lane assignments, if they continue to try to exploit these side lanes they've been doing, shadowing the Renekton or now shadowing the Sylas to, you know, force Fnatic to respond to them to try to eke something back cross map, eventually Mad Lions will have to group for the soul. And that's when Fnatic get to finally force their big 5v5 on them.
Mad Lions do get something there, but they are trading, it looks like 2 tier 2s for 1.
At this point, I think Mad Lions are in a bit crisis mode. Funnel up as much gold as possible, like hoover everything up, jam it all into your mouth, because we are on a timer now where we're either going to be 5v5ing for this Baron or 5v5ing for this Soul.
That's a lot of pressure. And we have to remember, Mad Lions, because they're in the upper bracket, if they lose, they're not out of playoffs. But if they win, they lock top 2 in their first split in a league with Fnatic and G2. At some of the strongest points they've been in history. Now, admittedly, G2's last series wasn't spectacular, but this is still the same G2 that won MSI and went to World Finals. So for Mad to finish top 2 in our season in what would have to be a reverse sweep against Fnatic would be probably the most phenomenal rookie story in EU history. Now, that starts with winning here.
Ultimately, all of those titles, all of those victories mean nothing. It's all about the history that theoretically could be made today if they manage to reverse sweep. But it does feel like we're coming to the climax of Mad's composition, that their backs are a bit to the wall. They've bought enough time. They've got some good items. The Luden's completed on Sylas here, so maybe there's a chance, but it's got to have to be clean, as Fnatic are just going to continue to funnel up gold, meet them at this 5v5 for the Cloud, and I think that's going to be the big turning point for this series.
And just multiple sources of healing reduction as well, so not going to be an easy game for the Sylas. He will not get a chance to pop off. The Renekton as well, really going to suffer against that itemization. And you're right, Froskurinn, this does feel like Fnatic's series to lose, if anything. Mad would have to dig deep and show us more than they've shown in any series that we've seen so far.
They may have caught them. Selfmade just going to go over the wall.
A trade of emotes.
Hit him with the thumbs up.
Two ships passing in the night.
At this point, Cloud is going to spawn, and Fnatic are actually just going to play for priority on top and mid, and then they can send one of their ADCs, either Tristana or Misfortune, to pick it up themselves as they play the pressure game, and then use Soul to force Baron play, probably.
And we saw yesterday that sometimes teams aren't worried about Cloud Soul, and I would hope for Mad's sake that they are one of those teams, because I really think ults are just very, very important. Because the fact that you put Bwipo in the dirt does not mean anything. Yeah, if he has a 40-second ult cooldown, like, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter if he's 0-9. He can still win any team fight if he with a well-placed ultimate.
They're getting a deep flank. Kaiser smells it.
The damage. I'm going to pull back here, though. Predator used by Selfmade, small cooldown to give up, but an important one.
Oh, that's important.
Bwipo. That's going to be a whiff, and they've already used the Lantern as well. Orome has stolen away the ultimate as well.
Come on,
Where's
Orome
going to go? Flash out, flash it all into 3. That's this combo. That's the kickoff. But Rekkles is firing back. So much damage from Rekkles. Orome needs to his way into the back line, but it's not enough. Fnatic are simply too far ahead. Bwipo trying to buy space, trying to buy time. Orome and Carzzy forced to fight this Malphite as Rekkles just cleans up the rest of their front line. Orome taken down. Carzzy next on the list. Give him the penta. They're running for it. He's got time until the rest of the team responds. That's the only thing they can be thinking right now. They want that penta. They know they're 2-0 up. They can take the risk, but no. They give Carzzy the respect. They back away, and instead, they set their sights on that Cloud Soul.
Sad B face. I feel that Rekkles denies him his second penta. His first, of course, coming on the Ezreal in 2020. It would have been the cherry on top for what looks like a sure 3-0 from Fnatic. And you could see, again, small window, glimmer of hope. Bwipo whiffs the ultimate Carzzy very fast, hovering over the flash key, make sure that Malphite doesn't happen. And then Orome then steals the ultimate, finds the massive hit on Fnatic, and you're like, this is it. Mad Lions, this is your one chance. But they don't get Rekkles. He turns around, he blows them up with the bullet time, and then from there, the gold lead really just takes over Fnatic, and they clean house. Rekkles picking up so much gold.
He's already so far ahead, too. Now going to be approaching 3 items, and sad B indeed. Not going to have the cleanest closeout possible there, but still a 9-0-4 score line for the Fnatic superstar.
Fnatic's bot lane is proving a point. Everyone was talking about Carzzy and Kaiser and singing them all this praise. And it's like, don't count us out. Don't forget us.
Very
Come on, guys.
Overall, incredible. Like, I think that people will look back at this performance and remember a lot of like Rekkles' amazing scoreline if he doesn't die again, but Hylissang's Thresh and these lanterns and the way the entire team has played around that cooldown in these tight clutch situations has been impressive to watch. And now for Mad, sadly, the same story that we've been saying is true. It's about looking for picks, it's about buying time, it's about potentially, scaling up into late game. The thing is just as you fall into bigger deficits, as you give away more advantages, like a Cloud Soul, now potentially like a Baron, it just gets harder and harder to do.
And the Baron has been started. They're trying to get Orome into position. He has made a pressure point, now forced to burn the TP. 3K left, ticking down. Shadow, what you got?
Unstoppable. This could be the play that ends the series. Shadow, can you make your way into the
pit? He got it!
Steal a Shadow! He gets the Baron! Is it going to be enough though? Now the rest of the team has to retreat. That's 2 members knocked out by Fnatic. Fnatic don't even care. It was a bait to get the fight kicked off. They don't mind that it's taken away because they've just slaughtered 4 members of the Mad Lions and maybe their hopes at finding their way into the finals.
The death timers are very long, and Fnatic are going to push exceptionally fast. And I think in the only 3-0 of our playoffs this far, Fnatic are going to close the game, and they look across to G2 and they say, this is how it's done. This is what you do to a rookie team.
And as they close out, it's not just G2 they're looking at. Froskurinn, they're looking at all of Europe. Raise your hands to the sky, spam your emotes, and wait a little bit longer. Because Fnatic are not going to close the game.
Tried.
Well played, Tech Splash. Well-timed win moment call, Froskurinn. Your words were beautiful. I was ready to follow you into the final moments of the game, but Fnatic, they're not taking any risks. They'll close it out nice and clean.
They'll back their spend all of their ridiculous gold, and then we'll get another run at it.
Just do it again. Don't change it, just do it again.
Take 2. So, good things here. Shadow did get the steal. And how many times have Fnatic been in a situation where the Baron gets stolen away from them? I think it's a bit of a curse at this point.
True. And I said it doesn't matter, but surely a Baron would have allowed them to end the game there. So it does mean a difference in minutes of game time. And if Mad can find
So it was the steal that
play,
ruined the wind call. That's what you're telling me.
It's true. Darn you, Shadow. Also, if you're loving this series, there's more League of Legends tomorrow, as you can see from 2 of the strongest, most seriously pictured supports in all of our league here. I'll leave it at that, though, because we are in what could be the final moments for Mad here in the upper bracket.
Still reminder, though, that it's the upper bracket, so we will see more Mad Lions. The winner of G2 versus Origin would theoretically face whoever loses this series.
Well, 100%, not even theoretically, will actually, I can confirm. Unless they're sacrificed to Cthulhu, which, as we know, is an ongoing issue here.
I still don't understand that.
It's just weird, and you hope people go with it, you know?
Okay.
We have a stolen Malphite ult. We have Mad in position to potentially find a pick. It's going to be very hard.
Rekkles, who's about to show topside, which is why Fnatic are just immediately ejecting out of Mad's jungle. Because obviously as soon as Rekkles... Selfmade, were you caught? I wanted Kaiser to flash that wall so badly.
It's so hard, though, because you're at the point where if you make a single mistake, you lose. Like, you had other chances, you made small mistakes. You're most likely going to lose here. Your odds are not in your favor, but if you lose a single member to a random pick, the game is probably over.
Well, they have 1:20 for this L to come up. They do decent damage. Like, at this point, Mad have gotten the core itemization that they needed. So, again, in the perfect team fight.
Yeah, because, like, look, at the end of the day, once again, Sylas has full AP Malphite also. Olaf cannot hurt this man. Oh, yes he can. True damage coming through. Rekkles can hurt more, though. And that is the pick that I was talking about. We'll have to see if Mad are bold enough to pull off a 4v5. Shadow definitely not the most important member of the team at this stage of the game.
I love how you're struggling to really identify, like, the power of Malphite in this series.
Dude,
so far.
I don't.
You're like,
Last
is
game
he
he
strong?
had 3 armor items, and I look down, I'm like, this game he only has 1. I've been baited horribly. Yeah, I looked at his numbers in the break. He gets a lot of damage from building armor. I learned that one. So did Orome. Well, I probably chose to go for an AP champion this time around.
Humanoid and Nemesis just sharing a quick hello, as it looks like Fnatic are going to do this one pretty cleanly by the book. They've created a bunch of space. They have complete control of this jungle. There's a single cheeky control ward on the back of the Dragon Pit. And teleports are about to spawn, so we'll see if Orome uses that maybe for a potential flank, but everyone knows where everyone is.
They've been spotted out. Both can go for the ultimate, but I don't think it's going to work out.
Humanoid!
Orome, right to the back line. AP Malphite power stolen away as Orome goes golden. Now the rest of the team still trying to bite. Humanoid not getting any damage down, though. Carzzy now going to be in trouble. A hook lands from Hylissang. It's perfect. It's just what they need. Carzzy buys a bit more time, but it simply will not be enough. That's a double kill coming through for Selfmade. Going to give one more over to him. Triple for the Gragas. He's going to look for a little bit more. Rekkles over the wall. He wants to close it out, and that's going to be a quadra for the Gragas. Scumbag Rekkles takes the penna, but that's going to do it. What a fantastic way for Fnatic to close out a series.
And okay, I get it. Everyone at Fnatic has ridiculous score lines. Quadra goes over to Rekkles. Quadra goes over to Selfmade. It's really beautiful. But Hilly is out of control on this Thresh right now. The death sentences, the lanterns, the targets that he's hitting, it has been beautiful to watch.
Froskurinn, I said half before, so I'll say the whole thing again. Fnatic can put their hands in the sky, look at all of the LEC as they sit on their throne in the finals and say, who is next? Mad Lions weren't worthy. Who's next on the chopping block?
And in a statement, Fnatic smash Mad Lions. 3-0, the only that we've had of the playoffs so far. They are clearly the heavyweights here. And like you're saying, they look at the contenders that are left. Mad Lions will face whoever comes out of Origin versus G2, finding themselves now seated at the big 3 when everyone had really counted them out. Some people were surprised that they even scraped into playoffs. And G2 and Origin wanting to prove that they actually are the 3rd best team, that they can be contenders for the title, hopefully winners one day, and G2 trying to redeem themselves after the egg on their face that Mad Lions left them. We potentially get that rematch.
This is, I mean, I love our new format. That's what I will say. It feels like such an incredible story. Of course, your players of the game at Twitter, at LEC on Twitter, rather, are Bwipo, Rekkles, and Selfmade. You can't go wrong. Hylissang might have been robbed, but regardless there's no wrong answer when Fnatic play a final game that good.
Now, it was competition, very stiff, between all 5 members. I'm just going to throw it out, though. Hilly had an amazing last game. That was very clean Thresh play.
I've never seen Lantern look so
broken,
incredibly impactful. Yeah, it's a nutso ability, absolutely. And I think the thing that you were saying right before we announced the Pogs is so true. So I don't love every playoff format, but I do love this one because we get those rematches, we get those hype moments, and for Fnatic, it feels like being in the upper bracket earns you something because you get so much footage, you get so much tape on your opposition that if you're hiding any strats as G2, as Mad Lions, as Origin, Fnatic is going to see all of them before they even have to play you.
And it still feels that the tape that you have of Fnatic over these last 7 games, you haven't gotten anything. That they feel like they haven't been put under pressure by Origin or Mad Lions. That, yeah, I guess you see the Malphite, but we've seen Bwipo over the entirety of the regular split pulling out these weird, quote-unquote, top lane picks